A clean 1 to 1.5 metre swell produced some attractive conditions for the start of the Newcastle Surfest. Local competitors Roger Clements and Dan Lowe were among those to shine in the longboard event, as an incoming tide made wave selection crucial. A shock elimination was Glenn Winton, once rated among the world's top 5 on a shortboard.
The tide's just as high as it can get, so it's a little bit difficult connecting to the short ump, but there's some good waves.
Newcastle's Dave MacArthur looked sharp in Heat 1 of the Open Division, stamping himself as a definite dark horse with a radical performance. Queenslanders Neil Purchase and Jai Gofton also moved through to the next round, as did World Junior champ Chad Edser, whose heat was called off after 2 surfers failed to turn up. Organisers hope the trend won't be repeated tomorrow when several overseas stars are due to appear.
Well, it is a bit of a concern, but we're assuming that all those overseas surfers who officially entered the event will be here to surf in the event.
Local lad Simon Robinson finished the day on a high note, convincingly beating fancied Sydney surfer Brett Herring.
Yeah, the other guys didn't sort of seem to get many. It's pretty lucky to pick off a few nice ones down the beach a bit further away from them.
The contest continues tomorrow. Bruce McKenzie, NBN News.
"12 months ago, Kylie Norris was a beginner body shaper. Recently, she won the Australasian title, the second highest ranking championship on the national calendar.
It was a surprise. I was very, very excited. I didn't expect to do so well for my second competition.
The sport is the bodybuilding movement's latest category. It follows a new fitness philosophy, placing less emphasis on muscle bulk and more on tone and streamlining.
It proves that women don't have to look masculine or come down here and train really, really heavy weights. They can maintain their body and it is sculpted.
To achieve that look, the 23-year-old from Newcastle trains 6 days a week, 2 sessions per day. Her daily program consisting of aerobic workouts and weight routines. Kylie claims that body shaping requires a healthy diet, but her unconditional dedication to the sport is reflected in the menu she follows in the 3 months leading up to a competition.
I cut out all fats, all vegetables or lollies, which I love. It consists mainly of rice, chicken.
Kylie is in training for the Australian Championships in October. After that, she may take on America. Catherine Lamond, NBN News.
Melbourne needed only a draw to win the minor premiership, so they started pretty fired up. Newcastle had their chances, but lacked that win-at-all-costs aggression seen in previous weeks. But then the heavens opened up and Newcastle found another lease on life, dominating the rest of the half. Melbourne's winning goal came with a header in the 80th minute that went over the head of Breakers goalie Clint Gosling.
A 26-year-old man who lived in one of the flats at Little Rudder Street, Kempsey, appeared in court today charged with the murder of 41-year-old Barry Leon Webster. He was refused bail and will reappear in Kempsey Local Court on Monday. Police believe it's Mr Webster's body they found yesterday buried under the Kempsey apartment block. Mr Webster was also a tenant of the unit complex, went missing last November. The body has been flown to Sydney today for forensic tests and formal identification. Jason Yornhoff, NBN News. The action was fast and furious at Wallumbah Forest south of Nabiac. The challenging 6-kilometre course offered a cross-section of conditions for the 20 entrants from Newcastle, Sydney and the North Coast. A narrow and bushy stretch at the start tested the drivers' wits, leading into an open and undulating ridge where the cars reached speeds up to 180 kilometres an hour. Each team completed 6 laps of the course and the winner was the driver with the quickest accumulated time. The state series will continue, with rallies in Newcastle, Wauchope, Gosford and Bathurst. Jason Yornhoff, NBN News.
A powerful 2-metre swell was once again ruffled by onshore winds, making for treacherous conditions at Newcastle Beach. In the longboard final, Central Coaster Peter Sharp showed uncanny wave knowledge in finding 2 clean tube rides that ensured victory. The men's semi-final saw Newcastle surfers experience mixed fortunes. A rejuvenated Nick Wood had his momentum ruined by a snapped leg rope, while rookie Darren Burgess surfed the heat of his life to qualify for the decider.
No, I just thought I'd maybe get to the quarters. I'd be happy if I got to the quarterfinals, but the waves are just coming my way, so I'm just taking them as they come.
But it was Avoca's Shane Powell who led from the front in the final. Local Luke Egan pulled out all the stops in a bid to bridge the gap. Burgess had peaked too early and Hawaiian Kaipo Hakis copped a pounding as Powell began his campaign for a world title with an emphatic win. Bruce McKenzie, NBN News.
Waite predicted that West would try to spoil the night's play. This warning to his players before the showdown at Marathon Stadium increased his frustration when the players let West do just that during the game.
There was certainly a frustration that crept in just before half-time. We didn't make an error in the first 25 minutes of the game. With the football, we certainly made some defensive errors as far as what we work on. But to their credit, the football team learnt the lessons at half-time and came out and got themselves back to the chance of winning the game.
Waite said there were no major injuries from the Magpies' clash. However, promising back Andrew Tangata Toa injured the cruciate ligament in his knee in the reserve grade match and will be out for the rest of the season. Tonight, the players will be shown a video of the game. Waite hopes they will learn how they lost control in the first half.
Some inexperience showed, and we'll need to learn from that.
Despite the loss, Waite said it was encouraging to see the spirit in his team as it fought back from 10-2 down at half-time to 18-all midway through the second half. Tomorrow night, Sunday's team to play Canberra will be announced and no major changes are expected. Jason Yornhoff, NBN News.
Operation Hot Wheels is one of the largest exercises Hunter Highway Patrols have ever targeted at young drivers. It followed growing complaints of noise and disturbance by residents of Newcastle's inner city. For 4 evenings beginning last Thursday, 22 Highway Patrol officers monitored inner city streets, some covertly in unmarked cars, recording number plates of defective vehicles or ones being driven dangerously. These offenders will be contacted in following weeks. For others, the reprimands were immediate. Defective cars were sent to the Roads and Traffic Authority pits in Newcastle for inspection. The depot held open for the exercise. Police also set up their own inspection point at Horseshoe Beach Car Park, a regular gathering site for car enthusiasts. In all, 546 traffic infringement notices were issued, 48 of them for speeding. From 85 cars inspected, 579 defects were found. More than 900 random breath tests were conducted, with 28 people charged, one of them more than 5.5 times over the legal limit. 14 people were arrested for outstanding warrants. Other traffic charges were made, the more serious for stolen cars.
We were very surprised with the results. We knew it was bad in the Newcastle City area and the East End, but we didn't realise how bad it was. The majority of the offenders came from outside Newcastle, mainly from the lower Hunter Valley.
Well, I think it's an outstanding result for a real problem the city has.
While most of the offences occur in the darkness of night, in the light of day, these tyre marks and litter provide evidence of the destructive effects a night of fun can have on Newcastle's East End. Lord Mayor John McNaughton supports the concept of providing a separate area for drivers to practice their passion and is looking for a site.
There's a lot of good young people with very, very good cars, and I wish there was somewhere where they could go and use their sport without causing so much trouble.
Recommended criminal charges be considered against several people involved in the corruption scheme. Visiting the Hunter today.
It's got to be good. Yeah, it's good for bloody temporary setup. On 105.3 with Noiseworks, touch recharge.
It may seem a slow pace, but Patrick Farmer has a long road ahead of him. The 32-year-old from Campbelltown is on the second leg of a 2,800 kilometre run. He started in Sydney yesterday, running 92 kilometres to Gosford. Today it was an easier 63 kilometre stint from Gosford to Swansea in Lake Macquarie. Patrick quickly rested his feet and chatted to inquisitive supporters before being officially welcomed by Lake Macquarie Mayor John Kilpatrick. Patrick, who in 1988 became the youngest man in the world to run 1,000 kilometres, will venture north on the Pacific Highway as far as Coffs Harbour, west to Dubbo, south to Canberra, then north again, finishing in Sydney on April 30th.
And the reason why I've taken this on is to try and help Rotary, raise $2 million for the Rotary wing of the Children's Hospital at Westmead.
Catherine Lamond, NBN News.
In Wallsend Court this morning were 40-year-old Vele Golovadoska and his 34-year-old wife Snezna. The charges of kidnapping and assault relate to an incident involving a 14-year-old boy who was allegedly pinned to the floor and bound by rope in an Ellamore Vale garage on the 21st of last month. According to a tendered police report, 2 days earlier, the Golovadoskas' house had been broken into and $8,000 in antique jewellery stolen. Counsel for the couple, Terry Morgan, asked Magistrate Robert Stent to apply a suppression order forbidding publication of all information related to the case to protect the identity of the juvenile. That order was originally given, but during the afternoon was lifted after it was discovered it was not possible under the Cited Crimes Act. Magistrate Stent continued bail and adjourned the matter until April 26th. Also in court this morning, 21-year-old Paul Scott Jones of Cardiff. He's charged with stealing and aggravated cruelty to an animal. The charges relate to an incident on the 1st of this month when petrol was poured on a 10-week-old kitten and set alight. According to an RSPCA vet report tendered in court, the kitten had its head rotated 180 degrees with a complete fracture dislocation of its spine. It also suffered burns to 80% of its body. The RSPCA vet went on to say the injuries resulted in a slow, agonising death. Jones was convicted on all charges and the matter adjourned until the 19th of April. Jodie McKay, NBN News.
Despite some community objections, Singleton Council last night approved development of Redbank Power Station. The privately owned project near the Warkworth and Leamington mines in the Upper Hunter will burn as fuel tailings, a waste product from both mines. This will produce enough electricity to meet the annual demands of 100,000 homes. Developed by American businesses National Power Company and ESI Energy, the station is expected to be operational by 1996. It will produce electricity using fluidised bed combustion, technology never before used in New South Wales power stations.
The fluidised bed technology doesn't burn fuel in a traditional fashion. There is no flame, no fire. It's burned in an actual dense bed of fluidised material that is glowing hot but not a fire. Also, because of the design of our bed, we are able to inject crushed limestone directly into the bed and remove sulfur dioxide as it's created so that it doesn't go up the stack.
The power station will create between 200 and 300 jobs during construction and up to 55 once operational. Little Consolation says Greenpeace, which believes the plant's presence will pose a threat to the environment.
It's an unfortunate truth that you cannot build a new power station without increasing the emissions. And we're at a time when we're producing 50% more power than we need. It's a time when we can institute measures such as solar power, such as cogeneration.
Mr Minakuchi believes power stations will always have a part to play in electricity generation, so the aim is to make the process more environmentally friendly. Redbank, he says, will emit up to 2/3 less nitrogen and sulphide gases than conventional power stations. Despite these assurances, Greenpeace today vowed to appeal the plant's approval in the Land and Environment Court. In 1942, a Japanese submarine shelled Newcastle's East End. Many of its bombs failed to explode. However, one which landed in Parnell Place did, its shrapnel damaging a number of buildings. 52 years on, that incident is just a distant memory. But today, one demolition worker had his memory jogged. On a house nearby where he was working, 2 metal patches were uncovered. These patches had been placed there in 1942 to repair damage caused by the shelling. The shrapnel exploding with such force that it ripped holes in the external walls of the buildings. Catherine Lamond, NBN News. Newcastle Newcastle's Catholic Education Office played host to a special group of people today. The Vice-Chancellor of the Australian Catholic University, Professor Peter Drake, and several of the institution's senior executive members. They were in town to receive financial support from the Diocese of Maitland for the training of school principals in Catholic education. Bishop Leo Clark presented a $30,000 cheque as the initial contribution from the Maitland Diocese to the establishment of a chair in educational leadership at the Australian Catholic University. This university incorporates the major tertiary institutions concerned with the education of Catholic teachers and nurses throughout the eastern states. Over the next 5 years, the Maitland Diocese will give $150,000 to help support the chair's establishment.
A development application for a $15 million aluminium dross recycling plant to be built at Rutherford was lodged with the council last July. The Environment Protection Authority tabled a favourable assessment of the proposal, but the Maitland City Council continues to have reservations on environmental grounds. Garbus Simonium, the managing director of Alumino Australasia, the company proposing the development, is losing patience with the council and has gone to the Department of Planning seeking a commission of inquiry into the council's handling of the matter. Last night, the council voted to engage Kinhill Consultants to undertake an independent assessment of the proposal and their reaction to it. Mayor Bob G hopes the independent analysis will begin shortly. It's expected to cost ratepayers up to $20,000.
Covering an area of only 70 square kilometres, the latest search was called off after just a few hours. A spokesperson from Aviation Search and Rescue said the unit received a call late last night from a man who saw a bright flashing light in the sky near Bulga around 8 o'clock on Saturday night. The sighting followed an earlier report of a radio signal, picked up late yesterday afternoon by a National Parks and Wildlife helicopter. It's believed both reports may have provided clues to the mysterious disappearance of 37-year-old pilot Mark Fleming, who took off in a Cessna 152 light aircraft from Rutherford on Saturday. The Civil Aviation Authority today said the radio signal lasted only 30 minutes, a later report indicating it was probably a marine signal. It's believed the Singleton Army Base was firing mortars late Saturday in the vicinity of the search area around the same time as the possible sighting. The disposal of liquid waste is a constant problem for industries and businesses of all sizes. But acids, oils and toxic waste can be effectively treated. The real problem lies in another area. The government suspects of the 7,500 tonnes of liquid and sludge waste produced in the Hunter every year, less than a quarter is being treated.
A lot of it we suspect must be illegally being dumped or otherwise illegally disposed of. If people are going to care about their environment, they're going to have to make sure that liquid waste is disposed of in an environmentally friendly manner.
Turning the environmental spotlight on the issue, Minister Chris Hartcher helped launch an awareness seminar in Newcastle, which attracted more than 200 industry and business representatives. He says if companies are caught dumping such waste, they can be fined up to $1 million.
If you have a business that produces any form of liquid waste, be it even a small restaurant with grease traps, or be it a large business turning out a large quantity of liquid waste, come and talk to us in confidence and we can assist you by drawing up the appropriate plan to manage and get rid of your liquid waste.
Melinda Smith, NBN News.
"23-year-old Paul Henderson has the world at his feet. In the National Championships in Sydney 2 weeks ago, he ran 5th in the 100-metre sprint. While he wasn't all that pleased with the result, it was good enough to secure him a place in the Commonwealth Games relay team.
It's great. I mean, it's a relief off my shoulders and now I can get on with things and get ready for Europe and America and Canada.
Paul leaves for the overseas circuit next month. He's hoping his showing in Europe will also ensure him a place in the individual event. Paul is confident he'll do well. He's already making changes to assist his running career in the future. When he returns to Australia, it won't be to his Kerry Bay home. He's moving to Perth.
To train on for grass for starters makes it very tough. My coach is in Perth and my group is in Perth, so it makes it very tough when you have to train by yourself here.
Paul says he'll miss Lake Macquarie, but it's what he has to do to run the 100 in under 10 seconds.
I want to be the fastest white man in the world, or actually the fastest man in the world. So I have to go into Perth, and them guys to train with will certainly help me.
While it was business as usual at New FM, 5 of the company's directors were in the boardroom, deep in corporate discussion. The board members emerged from the meeting looking calm, and they left no doubts about what they think of 2HD's takeover move.
We'd have to say that we're not in favour of it, sure.
2HD announced last Thursday its intentions to gain control of Newcastle's first FM rock station, with an offer of $1.20 per share. Shareholders will be able to sell their shares to 2HD from April the 6th. New FM's chairman said he did not think the bid will be successful.
Well, we can only wait and see. We're in the hands of shareholders, but I can't imagine that there's any chance of us being taken over. But we have to wait and see.
Mr Steggles would not outline the director's action to stop the takeover. A 2HD spokeswoman said today she was not surprised by New FM's decision to stop the takeover. However, she said in the end it will be up to the shareholders, and she was confident 2HD will be successful in their takeover bid. Jason Neuenhoff, NBN News.
Rehearsing today for the company's next production, David Williamson's play Brilliant Lies, Kim Wilson and her co-stars. Cast as one of the most brilliant liars in the play, Kim says her return to the theatre has been a welcome shock to the system.
The television that we see every night of the week, like Country Practice, Home and Away, Neighbours, those kind of things, they have so much television to make that it's churned out in such a quick, short period of time. You do a play, we have 4 weeks to work on every scene so intricately that you really feel satisfied at the end of it.
Apart from the obvious challenge of a Williamson script, Kim says working away from distractions in Sydney drew her here.
Being the first theatre production I've done since a few solid years in television, I really wanted to be somewhere where I could concentrate on it and dedicate my mind completely to it.
Brilliant Lies opens on April the 15th, and according to Kim, there's much more to the play than telling fibs.
It's a very interesting play because it deals with sexual harassment as opposed to rape, and also molestation in the home. And I think what's so fascinating about those is they're both not black and white areas, they're really dealing with the grey matter in between.
This is what was being emitted from the Steggles poultry plant this morning, a thick black plume of smoke. When contacted by the EPA, plant management confirmed they've had problems on site for around a week. The EPA was apparently told that emission monitoring equipment which broke down was thought to be fixed. However, complications developed again this morning in the boilers, which generate steam and heat for the plant's operations.
A couple of bricks on the inside of the boiler had fallen away, causing an air leak into the boiler, which upset the operation of the boiler.
Steggles is required by law to notify the EPA of any event which is likely to cause significant pollution. However, that did not happen.
That's an issue that we are pursuing with the company.
General Manager of Steggles, John Lydiard, refused to speak to us today about what caused the problem because we approached the EPA about the emission. Mr Lydiard said he didn't think there was any merit in talking to us.
The EPA will hold a meeting with management tomorrow.
We're still investigating the situation. When we have a more complete report and have had further discussions with the company, then we will be making decisions about where we go from there.
Jodie McKay, NBN News.
Losing the opening tip-off in last night's pre-season game was the first of many negative plays the Falcons will spend the next few days working on improving. Paul Kuiper put the Falcons on the board first, but every time Newcastle scored, Illawarra quickly counter-replied. Terry Dozier showed he meant business, but so did Illawarra's Butch Hayes, the American going on to top score for his side, bagging 25 points for the game. Newcastle nudged ahead in the first quarter. Falcons top scorer Paul Kuiper outnumbered but unfazed. The Falcons went into the second quarter leading 31-28, and some strong play by younger members of the Newcastle unit saw them maintain this lead. Derek Rucker proved the team player he is, Tony Jensen benefiting from the Americans' unselfishness. But Illawarra capitalised on lapses in the Falcons' defence, at times making it look all so easy. The Falcons' half-time 1-point lead was quickly dismissed by Illawarra in the final two quarters. The visitors eventually ran out the winners 101-97.
Trevor Handy knew just how lucky he was to be